So I ask you guys for a little help before I actually am able to drop the theory I have been brewing and cooking in the background, and I am very delighted on the amount of these responses that you guys gave over on the Anime subreddit, and I just wanted to, before starting, to thank you for all the support and all your opinions and all the commenting you did. So here's the thing, I asked you, this is exactly what I asked you, need your opinion to read and discuss in a new video. If you were an ending defender, how would you try to debunk AOE? I tried to debunk your debunk, and on the record that you should be aware of, I didn't check the comments because I do actually like to comment on them and have a first impression, and I try to not really cut the video, so we are gonna have a little bits of me thinking and shit. I'm not gonna cut them, so it's pretty much obvious that I didn't just go around and do shit like that. So yeah, and before actually starting the video, I wanted to ask you, if you do like the content, do leave a comment, do like the video, and do sub if you like, because it actually helps get the video on the algorithm, because YouTube has been a bit weird lately, and if there is not enough commenting and shit under a video, it just doesn't get into the algorithm and shit, and I do want the video to be seen. Any content creator wants that. So let's begin. So Opera Report 9622 3 days ago. I'm Japanese, we respect the author. So here's the thing, I've actually seen that argument play out a few times. That hey, you guys are not respecting the author, and Isayama, you do not like him, you do not respect him, you do not respect his work, and that's why you are trying to brew and cook a new ending for Attack on Titan, Shingeki no Kyojin. The whole thing about this argument, it's just, you know, the clown face you have put there is pretty much sums it all up. Because hey, most of the ending defenders and most of the AOT community fail to even understand and have failed to even give a chance to AOE to understand that AOE is not in itself a new ending, but a continuation of what happens in the manga. And many of them have not even experienced similar visual novels in the sense that they have the same format of you have to go get this ending to be able to open up the second ending to go to the true ending and shit. Steins Gate is a very good example of that. Steins Gate 0. So here's the thing, every single time you hear an argument like that, it's because the person doesn't even have any idea what AOE is. If they do know and they still use this as a kind of evidence or argument point to debunk AOE, it fails again because of a very interesting reason. So we are not supposed to discuss anime and just give theories, or anime and manga and anything, any kind of media, books, anything, comics. And if we do, we are disrespecting the authors. That's just a plain stupid idea. And the thing that they actually add the part about being Japanese, it's just kind of racist at the same time. So you have to be Japanese to actually respect the author. That's just plain. I'm sorry to say that, I'm not streaming this, right? Yeah, because the last time I was trying to record a video, I was streaming it over at Twitch, and I was just using some colorful words, and I was in the danger of being fucking banned. So yeah, I'm Japanese, respect the author. Yeah. I'm sure the Doomers can handle this one. I would have liked if you also left a comment, but yeah. Love you, bro. Seaman Sniffer 69, that's a nice name, man. So, I would argue that Akuma no shot Kid Eren's name. We are talking about the envy, not reality. So, we saw abandoned parties, and the believing in myself was more about Eren being sure in what he does rather than him doing it alone. This is just cope, though. Okay, so about the music video. There are a few things that we have to take into account. This is an official music video, and in the anime industry, they have a tendency to actually use media and visual imagery to kind of spoil things. You know how they make memes of openings and endings, mostly openings, spoiling the shit out of a show, and that happens every single time. I do not see the point of them making a music video like that and not elaborating on it. And here's the thing, that was just like the basic thing about the music video. Going into the content of the music video, you are saying that actually, hey, the music video is showcasing what Eren would probably dream. So I have a few questions about this. If this was the case of Kid Eren's dream, Kid Eren wasn't really sure, didn't really know what was happening in the world. How could we have kid Eren dreaming of destroying the world and shit like that, and like massacring people outside the walls, because he didn't see them as people. And the imagery they use frogs as being, they are mostly, if I'm not wrong, frogs are the symbol of innocent beings, if I'm not wrong. Titans were not innocent beings. And here's another thing. If you ask my opinion on the matter, it can't be Eren's dream. Kid Eren's dream. Kid Eren's dream couldn't be containing something not in the manga, and not really being hinted in the manga. Or at least, if it's about destroying the whole world and shit that Eren said as a kid, I do not understand the innocence imagery and innocence symbolism that is used there. It doesn't really make sense, does it? In my opinion. I could be wrong. This is the best I could do to try to debunk you. So I will try to come back to this later on again. So here's the next one. Yaman 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Artistic choice plus 100. Yeah. 10,000. 10,000. Sorry, my English skills are just pretty bad. So artistic choice. I know this is just like a fun shit that you're saying here, but let me repeat something again. I have said that before in my videos, I think, or over at the streams on Twitch. So look, you have a collection, a multitude of artistic choices. Like, let me rephrase that. A collection, a multitude of coincidences stop being coincidences at some point. And artistic choices, so many of them that actually end up pointing to one direction, they can't really be artistic choices. If there was like a few points, yeah, it would be possible, but so many artistic choices at the same time doesn't really make much sense. This is my point on artistic choice. Generally, chat, the last episode I'll have to see you later, so AOE is debunked on the clown face. So here's the thing, I discussed that in my on the video I made on the issue. What we have there is not the see you later scene as per se, is the see you later scene in conjunction with the scene from straight from the manga, the beginning of the manga, and I did point out the differences. That Eren was actually the see you later part, if you pay close attention. In the anime, when he wakes up, he's just lying down. In the manga and in the see you later scene we see here, he is actually kind of on the tree, like how do we say it? Inclining on now. His back is on the tree, it's not on the ground and shit. And that is a major deviation. And they actually deleted a major line and dialogue from the anime that I'm going to put it on the video here right now. I did talk about this in the video, so if you want to actually discuss that more in depth, or like have a more plain idea and shit, you can check the video if you want. Well, yeah, thank you again for your comment. AMS536. Actually, I had some talks with some doomers, not toxic ones, and most of them said that they want to believe in anime original ending, but they were being traumatized by the manga ending, that they didn't want to get similar disappointment when anime ends. If manga ending happens, which will not happen. So, okay, as a doomer, this is it. If we should celebrating together. I see a lot of manly brotherhood and sisterhood and stuff down here. Then. Nice, man. So here's the thing. They want to believe in anime original ending, but they do not want to be disappointed. This is not an argument to debunk. This is just a behavior thing by doomers, and I do understand that. Many times you should just not hype yourself up that much. So if the shit drops and it's not as good as you thought, you do not get that much disappointed. I do understand that, and that's a pretty fair point. There is not much to discuss on this point. Straight AD 6391. That's a cool avatar. Sorry for my bad English. Yeah, high five. In an episode of Dream, David's mistake. They removed the Hizuru logo from Mikasa hands too. Also the mistake they made. Okay. Eren. The sequence we had, see you later. Muppet trying to fix with mistake. Someone they just changed the dream only, not the whole scene. So why did they eliminate the dialogue? Where did that go? So they look. It doesn't make sense. Before continuing to the rest of your, I'm just gonna debunk that and go forward later on.
here's the thing. They went through the trouble to fix something that Wheat had a mistake on, but they decided to actually drop some major dialogues there. Why? What's the point? If you are so true with fixing shit and stuff, you should have left the dialogue there, and that was a pretty shitty important dialogue. Nah, I do not buy that. It doesn't work here. And the thing about Mikasa's hands, I have been trying to go into more depth on that, but that's just something for another day. But the whole thing about this part about Mappa fixing, I'm not buying that. Berserker, it was supposed to end in season 1 and they didn't know about that they can continue or not. So they add something cool to last the fight. The line will destroy the world is that by Isayama to be foreshadowing line for the final arc if they continue the anime. The Berserker in season 4 part 3 post is a reference to that line. Okay, so Berserker is because they thought they would end in season 1. Actually, that's pretty bad idea. I'm gonna explain why. Most of the time, anime studios do not just jump on an anime that they are not sure they are going to continue. Sure, many of them don't get second season and shit, but the thing about Mappa, Wheat, and Attack on Titan, Shingeki no Kyojin, Attack Titan season 2 is that, hey, I'm pretty sure they must have actually had some idea that they were going to produce the next content. So if they were not sure and they added, and I'm gonna talk about how does it even make sense to add something cool there just for the sake of it when they were going let's say true to the manga, except some parts from the beginning that it actually goes into AOE territory again. Business plans for anime are just done years in advance. If the anime appears this year, probably they had planned that like 4 or 5 years ago or 3 years ago. It's not that easy to produce anime, and it's not that smart to plan a business and not have a plan for it long term. So allow me to disagree on that. And the other thing you said, it was about making the fights cool. Okay, so making the fights cool, they had a wide range of options to do that. Why would they just decide to do something that ties into AOE? See, here's the thing that I always say. So many coincidences just pointing towards AOE. It stops being coincidences. And I do not understand why they would actually go again and reference to that line with a poster from the newest part that dropped, the newest episode. It doesn't really make sense again. Why would you reference that? Mappa, why would you do that? And it doesn't really make much sense. And do remember that AOT season 1 was a hype as fuck. I'm pretty sure they knew that there was going to be a season 2. It took a while because I say Mappa again. Vit is not a big studio and they didn't really use that much CGI, and hand-drawn shit really takes your time. Let's continue. A&R music video. I will use a tricky argument. Okay, I like that. The manga ending was supposed to be A&R, but somehow Isayama changes. Editor Kodansha Force. A&R ending backlash or so any foreshadowing to A&R before manga ending can't be used as the AOE proof. You are saying the manga ending was supposed to be A&R, but manga ending being A&R doesn't make much sense, does it? Why would they do that? That would actually destroy the whole AOE theories. This is what's wrong a bit with your argument here. Imagine you have AOE, you have the whole symbolism and like the number playing thing, because you know that Isayama also plays with numbers the same as Oda does. I call him Goda. One Piece Goda, the GOAT. And here's the thing, Isayama does that too, he's a GOAT too. But with all the criticism I have with the manga ending. So he would undermine the whole thing he has done to get a manga ending on A&R and then suddenly not do that because of a force from Kodansha editors, because of a backlash of, destroying the whole world and shit, and then change that again. But the line I will destroy the world is actually comes from the anime. Why would they want to do AOE but do manga, not AOE? And then decide to not actually go with the A&R ending for the manga and then change again the manga so it kind of can become part of AOE. If you can understand what I'm saying, if I didn't make it too complicated, allow me to disagree with that too. Remember that our real artistic choice was the AOE we made along the path. I did try to debunk it. Do try to debunk my debunking you in the comment section. Craziest Kraken. This is an interesting question, to be honest. Most of the Hope Chat Doomer ideology stems from faith. Hope Chats have faith that Isayama Mappa have withheld the true ending, or at least a vastly improved ending to what the original manga concluded to. This is believing that the story was never changed, retconned or rushed in any way, but that it was planned like this from the start. Most hope chats, self included, use the abundance of parallels, foreshadowings, and inconsistencies in the anime and manga to back up our theories. Doomers, on the other hand, lack this faith and instant believe that the story has concluded to its end. Whether this was due to forced changes being rushed or simply being unable to conclude the story in a universal loved satisfactory way, that it actually can't happen. People would be mad anyway. Most doomers likely choose not to believe in AOE as they'll see lack of any hard evidence or enjoy certain aspects of the manga's end. Before continuing on, a manga ending, you can enjoy the manga ending and actually like AOE too. I do have some heavy criticism for how the manga ending went on, but I made a video on peace not being possible and shit, and defending pathetic Eren too. There are more on the way, and you don't really need to hate the manga ending in my opinion, so let's continue. Even as a hope shot, I can see where doomers are mostly coming from. This late in the story, with very little undeniable evidence, AOE is the underdog. It will be one of the best kept secrets in a long time. We still follow the path, working from mostly just glimmers of hope and faith. Debunking any potential for an AOE is actually a really difficult thing to do, just as undeniably proving AOE. Thank you. This line here, this is the basis of me doing video on AOE on YouTube. I know I have made some clickbait stuff and shit, but come on, YouTubers want views, and my channel is actually kind of just on its like first months and first weeks. I want it to grow. But yeah, it's the thing about God. I'm not going to go into philosophy, but you can't really prove God, but you can't disprove God either. It's a pretty tricky situation. The same goes with AOE. You can believe in AOE, but you can't be like, AOE doesn't exist, I'm 100% sure. AOE exists, I'm 100% sure. Except there is some, let's say, commentary from the makers, Isayama and co. The main points you could work from would be the mirror of AOE theories. Why certain scenes have been altered or removed from the anime to better support 139. Expressions changing, foreshadowing Eren as the father, jacket, retcon, etc. Core 1 also chose to adapt a variation of See You Later, in which does align with the manga ending and could be viewed as a retcon. I do disagree. I do remind the video I made on this. I do believe that the See You Later scene is not actually the See You Later from the manga. Only the See You Later from the manga. And it's not a fix on what we did. They removed the dialogue, they changed shit up, and they mixed like 3 timelines, 2 timelines at the same time. But the thing about changing some expressions and actually changing some stuff, yeah, I do agree on that. They decided to do some shit that kind of kills the hope for hope chats. People are called hope chats for a reason. We are called hope chats for a reason. But the thing is, at this point in the story, fixing something in the way they did and not going fully with the manga kind of gives me vibes for AOE. And I said it again, and I say it again, sorry, as I said in the video before, that hey, I do believe that a potentially movie or episode for Attack on Titan with the AOE included could happen later on, months later, after this season of Attack on Titan concludes. It kind of follows and parallels what Marvel did, my opinion. The main issue with this is there simply isn't much to support this view. Nearly everything points to substantial change. The storm, eyes open, strange clothing, consistency in the entire under the tree thing ending, and the See You Later scene was somewhat bizarre in its presentation. We will fucking, yeah, thank you. Why didn't I read your comment fully? I was trying to, yeah, it was just for the content. I was trying to answer what you said, but you actually did too. Also this. Yet, as I say again, if I'm going to make a video about artistic choice and talk about artistic choice, I'm going to consult with a few artists about artistic choice and talk about it later on. So, CB13. Respectfully, and as an AOE believer, I think it might be better to approach this from a different angle and doomers debunking pieces of evidence. That would be nice. Full disclosure, I'm probably taking way too long to put this into words. That's kind of okay. That's cool. I may be wrong, but I think that very few people look at the theories and evidence and think it's completely wrong, and I don't think they have unique evidence that points towards the manga ending. I think most people who read the manga simply have such a high standard of proof that they can't believe in AOE unless there is an official confirmation of it. That's a pretty fair point. Doomers are a very small part of it. The null hypothesis for any faithful adaptation of another piece of media is that it will be almost completely accurate with minor changes to the medium. So a 500-page book might have the filler cut out for the movie, or an animation has longer action scenes than the comic. AOT has been roughly 95% accurate to the manga, to the point that you could stop reading at almost any point and start watching the anime without missing much. Yeah, I do agree with that. I do make analysis on Attack on Titan on every single episode, season 4 forward. And the thing is, over at my Farsi channel, Persian channel, the main channel, and many even scenes that you have are just direct. The whole like direction, let's say the angles, the camera angles and shit are exactly the same. The point of view and shit, they're exactly the same as the manga. The 5% difference is pretty much structural changes. In respect to shown earlier, discussed going on holiday to Molly is shown after the port. But that was pretty much for how to end that part of Attack on Titan Shingeki no Kyojin. A few changes in perspective and a couple of scenes cut or added that one could easily gloss over the importance of like the Berserk Titan. I kind of disagree with that. Berserk Titan is used a few times in the manga and it doesn't really explain how it happened, to be honest. But yeah, because everything has been so faithful so far, anyone who reads the manga without knowing about AOE is going to assume that that is what we are getting. The obvious answer to this is to say, well, what about when they discovered the AOE theories? Well, if you like the manga ending, then you are gonna dismiss AOE immediately because it will sound like coping, and you will be looking forward to the anime adapting the manga ending. And I do add again, the manga ending got a lot of hate, but it kind of supported the ideas that Isayama it had many points that you can't defend, but the overall theme with the violence, cycle of violence repeating itself is pretty much consistent with the ideology that Isayama put forth in the work that he done. You might lose interest. Unfortunately, that takes a lot of work. Most AOE clues are relatively small, so understanding how a bunch of different pieces of dialogue lyrics from the OPs and endings, different frames, timeline theories, and inspiration from AOT and the themes go together requires several essay lengths posts explaining all these things. Then you have to consider a bunch of things from BTS. Oh yeah, okay. Isayama's style, the optics of promoting Eren, and why Mappa has been so secretive about it, the reactions from the audience, etc. The thing is, I got into AOE myself. I pointed that out before too on another video, on one of the first ones I made on AOE. It took me a 16-hour, 4 hours streams to actually get into AOE. I do understand it takes a lot of time and effort, and I have not read many of the theories yet. And considering how you will find all these things through the online community, then you have to deal with memes, drama, and alternate theories that don't work with Einar, and you would also have to find this community in the first place. Einar is like 200 times smaller than the biggest AOT subs, and AOE community basically only exists here and the YouTube, Twitter accounts of people who already post here. Is there like an earthquake happening? Okay. Most people on other AOT subs will only reference this one. It's stuff like AOE bros is still possible, or Einar are just corporate, because they already believe it won't happen, and the amount of time and energy it takes to believe is too big to bother. The amount of effort needed to make sense of the evidence for AOE is several times larger than the effort to just talk about the ending and assume it will be adapted. Doomers here are a small exception who have looked at the evidence and believed it is insufficient. Most people here who spend a lot of time looking at the theories and end up believing it sooner or later, myself included. But most people can't be bothered. Sorry that it took so long to say. Obviously, this is all my opinion too. Looking forward to your documentary though. So thanks for your wall of takes, and actually I'm not saying that as a dismissing it or berating it. I do actually like it a lot because, hey, first of all, the thing is, yeah, as I said, it took me so long to get into AOE myself. And I'm an AOT fan myself, a bona fide AOT fan that have made so much content on AOT that me actually arriving here so late kind of proves your point too. It kind of made me the same situation of not having the time to go through everything, made me come into the YouTube, global YouTube, to try to kind of use the experience I have beforehand on the first Farsi community to try to make content on AOE that make it a little bit more seen and more, let's say, digested and ready to not believe, but read and understand and get into AOE. Being such a niche community, it means that it's not easy to make people not convert, but actually look into AOE and give it a chance. But yeah, the thing about people not having enough attention span and not having enough time, because look, you go to work, you come back home, and you just do not want to be bothered with something that is going to take potentially a lot of your time. I do understand that. It's up to the content creators and the community to try to digest them in a way that people actually can be more understanding of them. For example, Tensa 0K, these people have made a great job as like making videos, contents and threads on Twitter and shit that makes people come into AOE and understand it better than before. So you are saying that more than a case of not believing, it is more case of technicalities. I do agree with that. That's not something that can't be debunked. You just said like the reality, you stated the facts and shit. all throughout all of text you left here. And not in an offensive way, I'm saying that. Jotaro Kujo Star Platinum. Mappa will respect Isayama's work and do the manga ending. Sources that show that Isayama is behind all changes. Hayashi's comments. More comments at around 6 million. You can also bring up the past storyboard being changed by Isayama. AOE Z is because Isayama cried that in New York when the convention supporters told him the ending was good. Why doesn't this kill AOE? Isayama did not care about how the ending was received before making changes. They don't even have to bring up just episode 1. Just Falco's memories in season 4, episode 1. That's my comment. So, Hayashi's comments. Changes have been done by Isayama, so I do repeat again, the changes done actually kind of points towards AOE. And the part about respecting Isayama's work, if Isayama is making the changes, the whole thing about AOE is that Isayama is on this thing. That Isayama has planned it from before. So let me just check the other ones too. Communication with Isayama checks the storyboard every time and the feedback is he checks the storyboards. So he's actually in on the storyboards and shit. He's checking things more closely. So why would they remove the dialogues and shit? I have to actually watch this more in depth later on. So I do not think that what you just said here kind of disproves AOE. Isayama following the script closely kind of actually following the storyboards shows that the changes, the gradual changes, we saw the little ones, didn't really do much to disprove AOE. Isayama cried that NYC when supporters told him the ending was good. Yeah, I made a video on that in my Persian channel. That it's about it was the whole thing was that Isayama was like, hey, many people didn't like it. I kind of changed the execution and kind of put the weight of what happened on the shoulders of Yui Kaji, and I was like, okay. About how he actually executed Eren and stuff. I think about the thing about pathetic Eren goes with that. That could be pointing toward, that's something that can't be really debunked. I can't do much about that, because if Isayama is saying that, hey, my work was influenced by a voice actor, that it was voiced, it means that it was influenced by the anime, by the anime's execution, and it kind of points toward AOE being dead. It could be a trickery, but yeah, I do not have much to say about that. Yeah, thank you for your comment. Thank you for your comment. The reason we have Matt Silop, the reason the see you later scene on Core 1 shows Eren as a kid and without title marks is to confuse all viewers and not to blatantly spoil the anime on this. There, good luck debunking that, you filthy object. Okay, so about the part that we had on the see you later scene. I kind of didn't really make my point on the basis of the titan marks on his face and being kid Eren and adult Eren and shit, because I do believe firmly, I do point you towards my video, that hey, this is not actually just the see you later scene. There are inconsistencies, and there are major inconsistencies that just don't make much sense, and they remove the dialogue. I just put it here on the screen again. Debunked, I think? Not really debunked, but the thing about not doing that, the point you said makes sense. It can't really be debunked, in my opinion, but since I actually went a different route to try to show that it wasn't the see you later scene as per se, I'm not the target of your debunking, but can't do much about this one, yeah. You filthy off, chat. Ninurta 96. I don't want to put any energy in this. However, if I had to pretend to be a doomer, then I would certainly not take it from an ED perspective. Instead, I would point to how AOT has been retconned by Isayama, pressured by his editor, and the responsibility he had in regards to his audience. And I would also highlight his imposter syndrome. So here's the thing, about being rushed and stuff, it's not a thing about facts and shit. And the changes made to the story, again, don't really point towards it being a case of, what do you call it? A case of AOE being dead and not being adapted. Because, hey, again, the thing about AOE is that the gradual changes do point towards AOE.
I'm not sure if I did disprove what you said, but I'm sorry. I lost Shu. Sorry if I read your name wrong. Inconsistencies happen all the time in anime. It doesn't prove AoE. Even most of the parallels we see and think, wow, the author thought about this so much. No, he didn't. It's all a coincidence. The parallels that happen and the parallels we think will happen. It's not that deep. So I'm gonna use an example to further prove your point and debunk it. We have Neon Genesis Evangelion, and our goat there, our beautiful goat there, actually said something interesting in an interview that I think it was pretty after the show was ended, not the last movie and shit. That hey, you know when the angels exploded, they made like a cross sign. So there were many theories, and people like, yeah, dude, look at the symbolism. It just ties into Christianism. Yeah, there are major differences to religions and shit in Neon Genesis Evangelion, but I'm pretty sure that he said that this was something that we thought it was cool, and we just did it. And there wasn't much thought behind that. Same goes with Durarara. If you have seen the anime, it's a pretty good read. It's a good light novel, and it's a pretty good watch if you want. Durarara, what do you think? Where do you think the Durarara name comes from? So the script was ready. The editor arrives and asks the sensei for the name, and goes like, "Hey, what about Durarara as the sound of an engine or something?" You see this happens, but these are one-time things. Let's go into AoE. AoE, we have so many things happening, so many coincidences. I'm not gonna put much time in this because I already discussed the point. I'm sorry that I'm gonna cut it short a bit. Too many parallels and too many hints at the same time pointing towards the thing called AoE. Too many inconsistencies, too many parallels, too many coincidences. Stop being coincidences. Again, that's my answer to that. At some point there could be parallels and shit. Some of the theories I have seen are like far reaches, yeah. But many of them are just, you can't just go and answer them that easily. Sinister 6. Reposting this since I'm in middle school. I read 6. I'm like, reposting since the original thread was deleted. One called playing Devil's Advocate. Oh, I would have loved to see the thread. I'll give it a shot. Here's my take. So do your absolute best to debunk any of them. I'm going to really put myself in the minds of people who are enjoying the anime so far. Anime only is preferably to them. This story can go either way, just like Game of Thrones, no one saw it coming. With that said, you guys are delusional and you just didn't understand the story. Here we go. See you later, not added in season 1. Okay, we go back in time. We the studio did a masterful job in making Eren wake up terrified in order to entice the viewers. Although it wasn't a one-on-one adaptation from manga to anime, I would argue this is its way of taking artistic liberties. Imagine Eren waking up peacefully. True and all, boring. I can't really do much about this one, can I? Because what you say can't make sense, and it makes sense if you want it to make sense. I can't say that, yeah, no, it should have been one-on-one adaptation, but it kind of makes sense for, yeah, kudos to you. I can't do much about this one. Because, yeah, I'm imagining myself watching because I watched the anime before reading the manga, and I was kind of ongoing when it began. I'm an ongoing anime only fan at the point until like 1 year ago I was an anime only too. So here's the thing, yeah, Eren waking up peacefully and shit wouldn't be as enticing, because if you do look how they planned the anime, the episodes, the first episode ends with Eren's mom being eaten. So many of us got enticed to watch the anime because of the emotional impacts in the first episode. Points to you, I can't do much about that. Berserk Titan mode. Just like making a horrified in episode 1, why not bring it full circle and take another artistic approach to wrap up the last episode of season 1 by not following the manga in order to make the Annie versus Eren Titan fight more epic. Eren saying he wants to destroy the world is just him being enraged by his inability to defeat Annie. There is essentially a last-ditch effort to take her down. Therefore, it's just an artistic choice. So, you're saying that's also an effort to make it more interesting? I do want to agree with that, but it was pretty interesting by itself, wasn't it? and the Berserk Titan being repeated on the visuals of the, I think it was core 3 of part 4, season 4, it kind of disproves that it was a one-time thing. Why would Mappa go out of their way to do something to, when they've just fixed everything, to bring something of an artistic choice from there? I wasn't fully able to debunk that too, but like the case with the first one was more, let's say, strong than the second one, the Berserk Titan mode, because that was at the beginning of the season. People people that actually followed the anime through to the end, that would be okay. But the first season already have a good cliffhanger. Like it wasn't we didn't really need the part about Eren being in Berserk Titan mode just for making it more interesting. And they didn't really comment on the Berserk Titan mode, did they? That kind of disproves the point. Do correct me if if I'm wrong. And pretty strong arguments you have there, man. Jacket, eyes, scarf colors. So I'm not gonna try to actually what was it? I'm not gonna try to. I'm on the point with you. I'm not gonna try to debunk them. You know why? Because I do think that the thing about eye and scarf colors and stuff. Many of you are going to be mad. I think they are like far reach and not necessarily true. So I refrain from trying to defend something that I don't believe in myself either. Sorry. Last Gears OVA. If it isn't part of the season, don't look too much into it. There is a reason why these are separate. No. Here's the thing. Yeah, they are not part of the seasons, but many times you just can't include some things that are not in the main structure of a video, of the anime, because it would ruin the the pacing of the anime and the whole mental situation you are in. Suddenly, just dropping Lost Gears OVA in the middle of the thing is a bad idea. Hell, even sometimes anime that have a bad pacing or bad decisions by the author or the animation studio to move some parts or just adapt it in a certain way, they hurt the anime. We have JoJo Part 5 Golden Wind as a part of this situation, that you have the climax happening, it goes into backstory, it comes back, and that just fucks up the whole hype for the anime. I have seen people being absolutely mad about that, and they have all the right, because it just ruins the whole mentality and the whole environment that it was built up to get to that point. So yeah, I'm not gonna agree with that one. I try to debunk it in a way, and also the point is they can't include something that doesn't tie that well into the anime's timeline and shit, and not ruin the thing. And I do believe that Isayama made a pretty good choice not doing that. So it was a technicality of not being able to do that.